and welcome back to another Gimme 5 author interviews and book reviews for children and young adults. I'm excited today for another author interview. Today's author is Leigh James, also known as Jennifer. She's an author of young adult fiction books with a happy ending. Hey, Jennifer, how are you today?
Hi, Elizabeth. I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, staying warm. It is February and cold outside.
It is. Definitely is.
So, Jennifer, I was so excited when I was reviewing all the amazing books that you have written. And today we're going to be focusing on your Mallory Falls series. But before we do that, I would like to know a little bit more about your wonderful collection of books. So, first of all, you wrote a series called A Boy Named. Can you tell us more about the inspiration behind the theme of these books?
So for my A Boy Named, I, you know, as a self-published author, we get all kinds of advice everywhere. And at that point in time, everyone was saying you have to write short series and publish them quickly. And so my goal was to, how do I write short series and publish them quickly? And I thought, well, I will just, I'll just pick a different boy, and this will be a matchmaker series. So there are always three main characters. You have, both of the love interest and then the matchmaker that's helping them get together. And then at the very end of the series, the matchmaker gets her match, thanks to all the successful matches she's had before. So that was kind of the inspiration of how do I do something that kind of flows together, but each story is its own story.
And I love that because, young people, they look at a really thick book and they're like, oh my God, right? So the short novellas really work well for kids. Quick reads, gets them engaged and want to go to the next one. So there's a special little story about why you wrote the happy endings.
Yes. So when I first, as a child, I always loved happy endings. My mom would tell us stories and they always had happy endings. And then I read a classic, and I am too ashamed of my arrogance at a young age to tell you which classic, but I read a classic that did not have a happy ending, and it just frustrated me so badly. And so I rewrote the classic. And so, from then on, it was like, I've got to have happy endings. Stories need to have happy endings. And so that started it all, and all of my books have a happy ending.
I agree with you. That's great, Jennifer, because there's nothing worse than reading a book that leaves you with that feeling like, oh man, you're so sad and it's tragic. It shouldn't have happened that way. Or, at least let the hero, if he or she has to go through, tragedy, at least have a triumph in the end, right? So that,
Exactly.
there's some kind of lesson learned and they evolve and come out the other side. But then also the cliffhangers too. It's like they just kind of, it's like the writer just got bored and just said the end. And you're like, what? Huh? So I'm glad you're writing happy endings because personally, I like happy endings. I really do. So now you have some other unique titles too. So you have the boy series, and then you have some just special themed ones, such as Wish, Denied, If the Shoe Fits. Could you expand a little more on those books?
Okay, so um, wished, denied, and granted are all a set of books, and they are my very first series that I put out. And they all started with, I had a thought one day, what would Cinderella have done if the fairy godmother had decided that she wasn't going to end up with Prince Charming? And so that started Wished, which, took me through this series of, what happens when you have a rogue fairy godmother. So that is that series. And then If the Shoe Fits is another Cinderella type story. It's another short one. And what I wanted to do was take a really unusual modern twist on the modern day fairy tale. So Cinderella's family owns a shoe company. And so she, in meeting her Prince Charming, it's all related to the shoe company and an advertising campaign. So
Very cute. I love it. So how do you envision these authors? What's your or these authors, these characters, what's your inspiration for them?
so my inspirations just come from random different things. If I'm really having trouble envisioning a character, then I try to think of what are 3 random things that I can put into this character that's going to flesh them out. Sometimes the character is very clear in my head. When I started Wished, I knew the love interest was going to be a nerd. He was going to be a big time, unpopular nerd. And so, I try to take inspiration from, kind of what's coming to me, but I also ask a lot of what if or why, and let myself kind of go down some interesting paths with that. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes I throw that out.
Would you say that some of your characters are actually based around people in your personal life or people you've met along the way?
There are a few that definitely have some traits. For example, I have a mom in one of my series, and of course I'm going blank now. But the way that she interacted with her kids was definitely based on a mom that's a friend of mine that is just a big lovable mama bear. And so they're not necessarily identical copies of, but I definitely do have some characters that are inspired by people that I know.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what really lends to the authenticity of characters is because some of the personalities in my books is like these are real people. I couldn't make that up. Those little quirks that they have, right? So it's like you're in my book and this is your character. It's not exactly, but it does have some of your quirks that I admire. I think is really enjoyable in a character. So
Mhm.
that's good. So Jennifer, what's the most surprising thing you've discovered while writing your books?
So I'm a very analytical person. I like to be as organized as possible. I like things a certain way. And so naturally, I figured that I would be someone that plots every single detail of my story because that would fit my personality. But what I discovered, and it really surprised me, was that I would plot out a book and then I would get so bored that I didn't even want to write it because I already knew the ending. And so now I don't. I come with a concept. I know there's going to be a happy ending, but I don't even necessarily know how the happy ending is going to come. And for some of my books that are a single point of view, I don't even necessarily know who the love interest is when I get started. So that way, I figure if I'm interested and I want to find out, then hopefully my readers do too. But if I'm bored and I don't care, how can I expect my readers to? So it was a very surprising discovery for me that I'm not a plotter at all.
Ah, I think that's what they call in the authorship world a pantser. You just kind of right by the seat of your pants, you just, as it goes evolving, right? I'm that way
Yes.
too. One of the books that I'm the second book in my Taesung series, it's like I know the general gist of what's happening to Taesung, but I'm evolving with him because he's I'm kind of like the protagonist. And what would he say? What would he feel? What happens next? How does he interact? I'm not a person that can go, the plot, beginning, middle, end, rising action, falling action. I'm not that organized. And I think that kind of takes away from the spontaneity and creativity of the writing as well, right?
It does. And I think that, if you're an avid reader as well as a writer, you will internalize some of those basic plot beats that readers expect, especially if you're a reader of whatever you're writing. So just letting go of the reins and letting kind of your gut instinct tell you, you know what, there's not enough angst. I'm being too nice to my characters. I need to give them more angst. Or whoa, you know, we took that too far. We're not ready yet for that.
Right.
I think that being an avid reader helps you to internalize those reader expectations as you write.
Oh, absolutely. And so with the Boys, A Boy Named series, and then the other series that you have, they're kind of like Cinderella based, if the shoe fits and whatnot. What is the message that you would like the readers to take away from those particular series? What would you like them
I,
to
I
learn? Yeah.
I think as cliche as it may sound, I really want people to know that, you know, love may be hard, but it's worth it. And that when you put yourself out there, yes, you're running the risk of getting hurt, but sometimes you run the risk of something really great. And so that's what I want people to walk away with, is going, okay, you know, I know that love is scary, but it is so worth it when you end up in the right place with the right person.
Oh, absolutely. And to not give up on love too, especially when they're so young like that. It's like the whole world is going to come crashing down, because their crush is it's a one-way love or something. And so it's good to have the happy endings to reinforce that, yeah, this can happen. You can have a happy ending. And maybe there's even some navigation that the character goes through in your books that the reader can identify with and apply to their own life too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So now I would like to know all about your Mallory Falls series that you have two books that are unpublished and you have a third one coming out. So how is Mallory Falls different from the previous books you've written? Tell us about Mallory Falls.
Okay, so Mallory Falls is, it's a little bit more hard hitting. Of course, it's about love. Of course, it's about happy endings, because that is who I am. But with Mallory Falls, they are single point of view books, and the person is struggling with family dynamics, and it has caused them to believe that maybe love isn't worth it, that maybe they shouldn't take chances, or maybe that they should protect themselves and worry about love later. And so these books really, they're a little bit more of a tearjerker, with a happy ending, of course, uh, but it really does go a little bit deeper. Now, Mallory Falls is this quirky little town with weird, fun little traditions, and the whole series starts with Mistletoe Madness. And the concept from that was, you know, mistletoe is such a huge tradition. What if a town kicked it up a notch and had a 2-week mistletoe celebration that the whole town participated in? And so it starts out with, I like to call it a 2-week kissing spree. You know, there is mistletoe all over the whole town. And if you find someone under the mistletoe, you kiss them, you take the mistletoe down, and then you go and you put it up somewhere else for the next couple to find. And
What if they
so
find you and you don't want to be kissed by them? What happens
that could be an issue.
then?
And with Scarlett and Sage, the romantic couple in this book, you know, Scarlett is new to town. She's the one with the issues and not believing in love, and feeling very protective of her heart and her family. And Sage is someone who has not really seen a lot of difficulties in his life. Life has been pretty easy for Sage. Um, and so he just does not understand why she doesn't, you know, jump right into Mistletoe Madness. She's new to town. Why not, you know, why not play the game with him? Because they have a chemistry. And so, you know, he learns a little bit about perseverance and being a little bit deeper. And she learns to loosen up a little bit.
So that's book one, right?
That's
And
book
then,
one. So
yeah,
that one, and
may we see?
I'll just shamelessly flash the cover.
Please, we love shamelessness.
And then the second one is Sweet Insanity. And so this is Valentine's. So, and again, Mallory Falls is going to do Valentine's totally differently. So there is a best couple contest, and all of the money that they raise through this contest goes to charity. So again, the whole town participates. And at the end, there is a best couple at the high school level and a best couple at the adult level. And Hunt, who is Sage's younger brother, Hunt and Sage are not very close at this point. And Sage decides it would be funny to enter Hunt into the best couple contest, Sweet Insanity, with 6 or 7 different girls.
Ooh.
So now Hunt, not having a love interest at all, walks into a contest with all these girls who are trying to win the contest with him. And so he is struggling because he has this family dynamic with Sage and not having trust with him. And now Sage has pulled this huge public prank. And now he's also the target of some girls that he wasn't necessarily interested in. One of them being the mean girl, Lauren, who is kind of the villain of the first book. She's kind of the villain of the second book. And so she's entered in the contest with him too, and she's determined to win. So that leads us into the one that is currently in development, will be released in March, and that is Arbor Day Anxiety. Because if Mallory Falls is going to celebrate holidays their own way, of course Arbor Day should be a huge celebration. So
yes, I agree. I agree. I love trees.
yes. And so what I did with this one, to really challenge myself and do something a little bit different, Lauren, who is the villain of the first two, is now the protagonist.
Ooh.
And now we get to see why she is the way she is. And what about her family dynamics has turned her into this win at all cost, step on everyone, stab people in the back kind of individual. And I wanted people to see her the way I saw her, but I also wanted to challenge myself. How do you make someone that you hated in 2 books into someone that you could root for in a third one? And I'm really excited. I feel like I have done that. And one of my beta readers, she's so funny because she will always send me, as she is reading, she'll send me screenshots of how things are going. And I told her, I said, my goal in this is to try to make people like Lauren. So you have to let me know if we accomplish this. And she would send me texts going, I still hate her, but I know you're trying to make me like her. And then she'd go, darn it, I'm starting to like her. I wish I didn't like her anymore. And so it was really fun to see her reaction. So I'm hoping that when this comes out, that the other readers have the same reaction of, I don't want to like her, but I just can't help it. So
Right. That is so good because we get the backstory of how did this villain or this bully become this way? That, you're just born into this world innocent baby. So something happened in her external environment that created her to be this way. So it's really fabulous that you are putting the backstory of Lauren and then bringing her around to people kind of go, yeah, maybe I understand. I get it. She's not so bad after all, right? And this is book 3, correct?
yes,
And
it's
it's
book 3.
coming out in March. I have to say that as an author, and I'm sure you can relate to this too, it's not just enough to be an author and write books. We have to market the books too, and I don't think a lot of our readers realize that. And I don't know about you, but I never signed up for any marketing classes during college, university, right? So,
No,
how are
no.
you going to launch your third book out into the world? Do you have a plan? I mean, it's Arbor Day themed. Is there anything planned for your launch?
So I am doing something a little new and different. I'm always trying new things, and I don't ever want my skills to get stale. But as you said, we never really signed up to be marketers. We just wanted to tell stories and magically have people read them. And so I am doing my very first Kickstarter, which has been a huge learning experience. It's been a lot of fun. And so the Kickstarter is currently going on now. It's going to wrap up on February 19th. And what I'm doing with this is I'm giving every week that someone signs up, there's like little bonus gifts. So, you know, if you come in and you just want a copy of the digital book, then you're also going to get all these freebies and gifts and things with it. So I wrote a novella in the Mallory Falls world that is only available via Kickstarter at this point in time. You know, maybe sometime in the distant future, it might be available, but right now it's only available via Kickstarter because I want to say thank you to people who are going on this adventure with me. So,
And
so it's been a lot of fun. We're about halfway through and I'm halfway to my goal. So
wow,
it's, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. We'll see what happens.
fantastic. You know, I've heard of Kickstarter, but I'm not really that familiar with it. So, Kickstarter is like a platform where we can help raise money for different causes and just get our message out into the world.
So it's like GoFundMe, but
Mm.
the difference between Kickstarter and GoFundMe could be for anything. It could be, you know, hey, I'm raising money for surgery, or I want to buy my dream prom dress, or, you know, whatever. Kickstarter is you are donating money for a product. So there has to be a product you receive. So everyone that comes into my Kickstarter, no matter what level they back at, and that's what they call the donations, is basically backers. No matter what level, they're going to get something. It may be some coloring pages that I created that are Mallory Fall inspired, but you know, it could be the digital copies of the books, all the way to anyone that is just die hard, you know, core fans. They could get their name in my special thanks book, or they could pay for their names to be one of my characters in a future book. So
Wow, that's really cool. So you're going to after we stop the interview, you're going to send me the link to your Kickstarter so we can get this launched out. Maybe they can catch
sure.
the last week or two of it. Because what
Yeah.
is it's the 9th here in South Korea, so it's the 8th for you. So about 10 more days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely
yeah,
want
I'll
to
be
do that.
happy to do that.
Along with all the other books I'm going to be featuring here, the links to Amazon. So do you have a website too as well?
I do. It is jleighjames.com.
Perfect.
And
So
anyone that goes there, there are places to sign up. If you sign up for my newsletter, there's freebies. I give free stuff to my newsletter recipients all the time because I like free. So I figured they do too. So, yeah,
oh
they could
yeah,
go and sign up for the newsletter too.
who doesn't like free? And who doesn't like love? I'm so glad that you're writing about love because I feel that in this new digital era of techno stuff, that we're kind of losing contact with what love and relationships look like. So it's good that you are writing about characters who are actually interacting and being able to express and show and learn about love at this young age, right? So that's
Mhm.
really cool. Now, I don't know if you have them, Jennifer, but do you have some books that you can just flash across the screen, like your boy's book and the wishes and granted, denied, all those? Do you have any of your books? I know you have the three. We're going to say those for last, but the previous
Yeah.
books and then the three. Well, you don't have number three book to flash
Yeah. No, I don't have that one
yet.
to
Yeah.
flash yet. Yeah, I've got them. I've got some right here. I can just grab real quick, but I'll be out of screen for a second. So,
Okay, no problem.
okay, just making sure that was all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I'm super excited about your books that I want to read them because I've never been a person to read, you know, love books in particular, but I feel that by reading books about love, it brings out more love in your heart, right? And I do love love, by the way. But I'm more of a realistic action type reader. So I'm going to read more about love, and I'm going to start with your books.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you ready to flash?
So these are wished, denied, and granted. And I'm actually, these covers are pretty old, so I probably will be doing a makeover of the covers sometime this year. Then I have The Wrong James is a standalone romance. And then I have Just Another Stupid Boy and The Ugly Sister. So they're in the same town. Some of the same characters cross over, but they could also be read as standalones as well. And the Boy Named series, because they're so small, I do not have them in print. But of course, if that's what people want, I'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Have you thought about putting them in a collection, a book set, or have you done that?
So I have digitally, I haven't made a print version of that. So,
Yeah. Wonderful. How long are how many pages do we have for the boys series?
oh goodness.
Are they under 100 novella?
I believe so. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. They're about, yeah, they'd have to be under 100 pages. They're about 20,000 words, I believe. So,
Yeah. Good quick reads. And then the wishes, granted and denied, those look thicker. How many pages do we have on those books?
so it's really easy just to look.
Just look at the book. Let me tell you.
All right. So Wished is 164 pages. So they're all around that size. And then the Mallory Falls, Sweet Insanity, Arbor Day Anxiety, they're larger than that. So
Fantastic. Well, now that we know about your authorship, how about Jennifer, the person? What do you like to do? What are some fun things that you like to do when you're not writing?
so I will tell you something kind of funny. I, you know, whenever anyone is like, what are your hobbies? Well, it's reading and writing. I do that for fun. But when the pandemic hit and we were locked down, and I had my college age daughter living at home, doing school virtually, she actually got me addicted to watching gamers. And so I used to be one of those people that I would laugh at who would sit around and watch someone else play games. And now that's me. If I need a break or something, I'll go and I'll watch, 5 Up play Among Us, or I'll watch, Tag Back TV do Animal Crossing, or, it's just, it's their personalities and they are funny and they do things that I know I could never ever do. So I'm also in awe of their skills. But for the most part, it's just entertaining. And so it's really funny to say that, because I definitely was one of those people that said, why would you sit around and watch someone else play a game? And now I do.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because my son started game design university at 17, and he kind of used his playing games, those binges, as homework, but he would say, here in Korea we have what's called PC rooms. So you can go, not since COVID, they've kind of closed down a little bit, but you can go in and sit on a computer and do whatever you do on the computer. And so my son says, yeah, Mom, let's go sit down and let's play a game of, what was it, World of Warcraft, I think. And so he shows me, so we're on side by side computers, and I'm building up my little communities and making my little guys and giving them food. And all of a sudden he comes over here and attacks me and obliterates me. And I'm like, what the heck, man? I'm never I took all this time because, yeah, I was waiting so I could just steal your resources and kill your people. I'm like, why would anybody do that? Dang, so mean, right? So wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm guilty too. Now I have this kind of passes time. It's called crypto dragons on my cell phone. So kind of when I'm just like bored for a minute on the subway and I'm doing a commute, it's just these little dragons that go around and merge, and you can open a little treasure box and you can do these little things and you earn cryptos, right? Not a lot, but you earn some. Like, hey, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that does sound fun.
Yeah. I'll send you the link.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
definitely check it out.
So you have a college age daughter, right?
Yes. Well,
So,
she actually has graduated now, so
oh, congratulations. That's great.
thank you. Thank you.
So I know that in this world of COVID right now, it's kind of the new normal. Are there
Mhm.
any book signings in your future around your area? Will you be promoting that way? Is that
So,
still a thing?
yeah, it is still a thing. I actually did my very first book signing back in November. I went to the 20 Books Vegas conference and did a book signing there, and that was a lot of fun. Um, you know, Going forward, I don't know. I'm open to it, but right now I don't have anything lined up.
Right. Everything's virtual, which, I'm so grateful that we do have a way that we can still connect. I couldn't imagine globally people being locked down and then not being able to connect with each other, right? So
Mhm.
we are blessed in that respect for sure. So do tell me, there are inspiring writers out there, young authors who read books and want to have stories run around in their head, want to write. What is some advice that you would give a young author who wants to write their own short novella or something?
Well, this is going to be really simple. Do it. Um, I've had so many people that have said, "Oh, I want to write a book. I have an idea." And I've offered to them, write it down. I'll read it, I'll give you some feedback, however I can support you in this, I want to support you. And 99% of those people that tell me, they're like, "Oh, well, I'm too busy. Oh, I don't think it's good enough. Oh," and there are a million different reasons why they're not going to take that step. Sometimes I think it's just fear because they don't know what they're getting into. And so, I really wish that someone had told me when I was young, put it out there. If no one else likes it, who cares? It's one story. You have got a million stories in your head. So if they don't like that one, then they just weren't your reader. You'll go find your reader. So they need to just do it. Just put it out there and move on to the next one, and then move on to the next one. And then, before they know it, they'll have a library. So,
Absolutely, Jennifer. I really agree because even me, I was an avid reader growing up, and I still am, of course, but I always had these stories run around in my head, and I finally wrote a book. And it's like you said, just do it. Even, just give it your best, do the beginning, get to the end, publish it, to have that feeling of success that you've got your first book out there. And then you've got a better idea of how the next book should go. Of course, that first book that went out there was very amateur for me, and one of my students actually drew the illustrations. So I look back at it and I go, oh man, there's a lot of editing errors in there. But it's a learning process, right?
exactly, exactly. I love Wished. Wished was the first book that I published. It has a very, very special place in my heart. And if you pick it up and read it, I really hope you enjoy it. But is it the quality of my writing today? No. And that's why if it gets a cover makeover, it's probably getting a little editing makeover as well. But the only way that you learn is to put it out there and see what happens. And so that is the best advice anyone can have, is just do it, because you're going to learn so much from the experience itself.
Absolutely. I think it's a very cathartic exercise when we're writing our books that we're growing with our characters, on a personal level, as well as our writing skills are growing too. So, any final quotes or inspiration you want to share with our listeners before we go?
So I would just say, I kind of alluded to it a little bit, but you know put your work out there, whether you are a writer, whether you are an architect, whether you are whatever is calling to your soul, put it out there. Let people get a chance to see it, because one of the things I like to call my mother my little mama. She doesn't always like me saying that, but one of the things my little mama always said was, you never know until you try. And just try, see what happens, because sometimes it's really going to surprise you in a good way.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. And I am so grateful for our listeners out there today. And Jennifer, it's been just amazing having you on our show again. Yay! So
Thank you so much. I
exciting.
really appreciate it. It's been fun.
And it's great to hear about your books, and I truly hope that our listeners will go out and check out your website. I'll have all the details in the box below, and your Kickstarter campaign. Congratulations on number 3, Mallory Falls, coming out in March. Yay! And I look forward. I'm gonna get the set actually. And I'm gonna read up on love. I need more love in my life. And okay, that's another talk show. But um reviews are very important too, I think. So I don't know that readers really, they read a book, but it's hard for them, or maybe they just forget to go off and not only just buy the book, enjoy the book, but then give us some feedback. Authors love that. I don't know about you, but I get so excited when I get a new review on my book. I'm like, wow, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I even cry when I read some of the reviews. So thank you for listening today, everyone. Jennifer, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate getting the chance to talk to you.
Fantastic. Well, good luck on the new book, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you next time here on Give Me 5. Bye for now.